Joke number 1. An ex-husband and an ex-wife are in court fighting in a bitter custody battle over their child. The judge asks the woman, "Why do you feel you deserve custody?" The woman says, "I brought that child into this world. My child literally came out of me. That is why I deserve custody." The judge nods his head and says, "That is a simple and logical reason. It makes sense." Then the judge turns his head to the man and asks, "She said her side of things. Why do you feel you deserve custody?" The man sits in his chair and slowly drinks from a can of Coke. Then he holds up the empty can in his hand and says, "Was this my Coke or my ex-wife's Coke?" Confused, the judge says, "I believe that was your Coke." The wife is also confused, and the judge looks over at her and asks, "Was that your Coke?" The ex-wife says, "No, it was his Coke." The man looks at the judge and says, "Good, we all agree. So when I put money in a Coke machine and a Coke pops out, the Coke is mine, not the Coke machine's, correct?" Joke number 2. A woman got up and out of bed and stretched, and a penny fell out of her privates. She thought it was odd, but kept on with her morning routine. She went to put on a pot of coffee, and a nickel fell out of her privates. She was concerned, but continued her morning routine. She drank her coffee and went to brush her teeth, when a dime fell out of her privates. She really was getting concerned and thought to herself, "If anything else happens, I'm calling the doctor." She got dressed and started to tidy up the house, and a quarter fell out of her privates and rolled down her pant leg. Concerned, she called her doctor. She told him, "A penny, a nickel, a dime, and then a quarter. No need to worry," he said. "You're just going through the change." Joke number 3. A man goes to the doctor, who diagnoses him as having hemorrhoids. The doctor prescribes him a suppository and tells him to use up to 2 daily as needed until the problem subsides. The man has never used a suppository before and uses it like he would any other pill. He swallows them. They are a bit big, but he manages. A few weeks later, the man calls the doctor and asks for a refill. The doctor is surprised and asks, "Ran out? What are you doing with them?" "Eating them." The man answers sarcastically, "No, doc, I'm sticking them up my arse." Joke number 4. An 70-year-old married a 20-year-old. A year after the wedding, the couple arrives at the delivery room. A male boy weighing 3.5 kilograms was born, healthy and beautiful. The nurse asks the old man, "Yours?" "Yes," the old man replies proudly. "Congratulations," the nurse replies. "Well," says the old man, "the old engine still runs." 2 years later, the duo arrives at the delivery room again. A 3.5 kilograms girl was born, healthy and beautiful. The nurse asks the old man, "Yours?" "Yes," the old man answers. "Well done," the nurse answers. "The engine still runs," said the old man. After 2 more years, they come to the delivery room again. A 5-year-old male son is born, healthy and beautiful. The nurse asks the old man, "Yours?" "Yes," the old man replies. "Congratulations," the nurse says. "That's really impressive." "Well," says the old man, "the engine is still running." "Well," says the nurse, "you may want to change the oil. The last one came out black." Joke number 5. A panel of doctors was asked for their opinions concerning a proposal to build a new wing to their hospital. This was what they said. The allergists could barely breathe for the shock. The dermatologists preferred no rash moves be made. The psychiatrists thought the whole thing was diluted. The radiologists could see right through it. The gastroenterologists had a gut feeling about it being a bad idea. The whole thing gave them a stomachache. The neurologists thought the administration had a big brain idea. The ophthalmologists considered the idea short-sighted but rectifiable. The pathologists yelled, "Over my dead body," while hiding behind a patient. The pediatricians said, "Grow up," then held their breath until blue. The plastic surgeons said this was a stretch. The podiatrists were afraid it was the wrong step. The urologists felt they were pissing away money. The anesthesiologists thought it was a pipe dream. The cardiologists didn't have the heart to say no, and the surgeons weren't even allowed to cut in. Joke number 6. A man sitting at a bar after work shares with the bartender why he is looking so stressed. I'm not sleeping well. I have nightmares about a monster under my bed, and I am too embarrassed to seek help. A patron nearby overhears this and introduces himself. I overheard your story, and I'm a psychiatrist. Maybe I can help. The first thing is you recognize these are only dreams, and that is obvious. So I should be able to help you in a few sessions. Here's my card. Give me a call. A few weeks pass, and the same two are once again at the bar after work. The psychiatrist says to the other guy, Hi, how goes the nightmares? I never heard from you, so I hope you're doing okay. The other guy says, Things are great. The bartender helped me. Psychiatrist, the bartender helped you? You needed a trained professional to help you. What possibly could a bartender do that a psychiatrist couldn't? The other guy says, He told me to saw the legs off my bed. Joke number 7. A man went to the doctor. He said, Doc, you got to check my leg. Something's wrong. Just put your ear up to my thigh. You'll hear it. The doctor cautiously placed his ear to the man's thigh only to hear, give me $20. I really need $20. I've never seen or heard anything like this before. How long has this been going on? The doctor asked. That's nothing, Doc. Put your ear to my knee. The doctor put his ear to the man's knee and heard it say, Man, I really need $10. Just lend me $10. Sir, I really don't know what to tell you. I've never seen anything like this. The doctor was dumbfounded. Wait, Doc, that's not it. There's more. Just put your ear up to my ankle, the man urged him. The doctor did as the man said and was blown away to hear his ankle plead, Please, I just need $5. Lend me $5, please, if you can. I have no idea what to tell you, the doctor said. There's nothing about it in my books, he said as he frantically searched all his medical reference books. I can make a well-educated guess, though. Based on life and all my previous experience, I can tell you that your leg appears to be broke in 3 places. Joke number 8. And that while in China, an American single man acts promiscuous and does not use protection the entire time he is there. A week after arriving back home in the States, he wakes one morning to find his swimsuit area covered with bright green and purple spots. Horrified, he immediately goes to see a doctor. The doctor, never having seen anything like this before, orders some tests and tells the man to return in 2 days for the results. After 2 days, the doctor tells him, I've got bad news for you. You have contracted Mongolian VD. It's very rare and almost unheard of here in the U.S. We know very little about it. The man, perplexed, asks, Well, can't you give me a shot or something to fix me up, Doc? The doctor answers, I'm sorry, there's no known cure. We're going to have to amputate. Wait, what? The man screams in horror. Absolutely not. I want a second opinion. The doctor replies, Well, it's your choice. Go ahead if you want, but surgery is your only option. The man shops around, going to many doctors and experts, but they all tell him the same. They must remove the organ. At some point, a friend tells him, You contracted this in China, right? Then why not go to a Chinese doctor? The man, having not thought of that, seeks out a Chinese doctor in the hopes he'll know more about the disease. The Chinese doctor examines the problematic area and proclaims, Ah, yes, Mongolian VD, very rare disease. The guy says to the doctor, Yeah, I already know that, but what can we do? My American doctor wants to cut off my organ. The Chinese doctor shakes his head and laughs. American doctors always want to operate, make more money that way. No need to amputate. Oh, thank God, the man exclaims. Yes, says the Chinese doctor. Wait 2 weeks, fall off by itself. Joke number 9. A man comes running to the doctor, shouting and screaming in pain. Please, doctor, you've got to help me. I've been stung by a bee. Don't worry, says the doctor. I'll put some cream on it. You will never find that bee. It must be miles away by now. No, you don't understand, answers the doctor. I'll put some cream on the place you were stung. Oh, it happened in the garden in back of my house? No, says the doctor, getting frustrated. I mean, on which part of your body did that bee sting you? On my finger, screamed the man in pain. The bee stung me on my finger and it really hurts. Which one? The doctor. How am I supposed to know? All the bees look the same to me. Joke number 10. There was a man named Ray Berkowitz, and he was at work when his wife called in panic. She was ready to give birth. He hurried to the hospital as quickly as he could, marveling that his son, Charles, is about to be born. One day while Ray was out of town for work, he got a call from his wife that she was going into labor. He rushed back but didn't make it before she gave birth, and she called him to tell him it was a healthy baby boy. He drove all night and all day and finally made it to the hospital. He was so excited he rushed straight to the maternity ward and to the nursery, where he found a big glass room with a big sign above the door. Beautiful babies. Excitedly, he rushed in. "I want to see my son." The nurse asked for the name. Charles Berkowitz. The nurse looked at the list and said, "Sorry, sir, your kid isn't here. Try the next nursery down the hall." Perplexed, Ray walked down the hall to another big glass room with another big sign. Beautiful babies. All right, my son will have a pretty easy life looking handsome, he thought and walked in. "I want to see my son." "Name, please." "Charles Berkowitz." The nurse looks over her list and says, "Sorry, sir, not here. Try the nursery down the hall." So the man walks down the hall to find another room with a big sign. Ugly babies. That's all right, he thought. Looks don't matter. He walked in smiling and said, "I want to see my son, Charles Berkowitz." The nurse looks over her list and frowns. "Sorry, sir. Try the next nursery down the hall." Dejected, the man walks down the hall to a room that wasn't glass, that had a smaller sign over the door. Very ugly babies. It doesn't matter what he looks like, he thinks to himself. I'll love him no matter what. He walks in. "Please, I want to see my son, Charles Berkowitz." The nurse looks down at her list and shakes her head. "I'm sorry, he's not here. Try the next nursery down the hall." He was getting really worried now. He walks down another long hallway that ends in a single steel door with a little plaque on it that says, "Charles Berkowitz, joke number 11. Two doctors, Dean and Gable, are treating a man with lung disease. They're explaining how his smoking weed has led to his condition worsening." "But it's just herbal," the patient protested. "How can it be bad?" Dr. Jenkins sighed. "Nature isn't all innocent. Apricot stones contain lethal amounts of cyanide. There is a certain plant in my back garden. If you sit under it for just 5 minutes, you will die. Just because it's natural doesn't mean it's safe for you." The man seemed to accept that and promised to stop his smoking. After he left, the doctors went to lunch. As they were sitting down to eat, Dr. Smith asked, "Oh, by the way, what is that plant that kills you if you sit under it?" "A water lily." Joke number 12. A mother and her teen daughter arrive at the doctor's office. The doctor says, "Okay, what seems to be the problem?" The mother says, "It's my daughter, Susie. She keeps getting these cravings, she's putting on weight, and is sick most mornings." The doctor gives Susie a good examination and then turns to the mother and says, "Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but Susie is pregnant. About 3 months would be my guess." The mother says, "Pregnant? She can't be. She has never ever been left alone with a man." "Have you, Susie?" Susie says, "No, Mom. I've never even kissed a man." The doctor walks over to the window and just stares out of it. A few moments later, the mother says, "Is there something wrong out there, doctor?" The doctor replies, "No, not really. It's just that the last time something like this happened, a star appeared in the east, and 3 wise men came over the hill. I'll be darned if I'm going to miss it this time." Joke number 13. A woman went into a doctor's office with a baby. She's taken into an examining room and waits for the doctor. The doctor examines the baby and finds him not gaining much weight and asks the woman, "Is he breastfed or on the bottle?" "Oh, he is breastfed," replied the woman. "Well then, strip down to your waist," orders the doctor. She takes off her top and bra and sits on the examining table. The doc starts pressing, kneading, and pinching both breasts for quite a while in a very detailed and thorough examination. After a few minutes of this, the doctor motions to her to get dressed. Then he says, "No wonder this baby is so hungry. You don't have any milk." The woman responds with a wry grin, "Well, of course I don't." "Why is that?" asks the doctor in surprise. "Well, I'm his aunt, but I'm sure glad I brought him in today." Joke number 14. A woman went to the emergency room where she was seen by a young new doctor. After about 3 minutes in the examination room, the doctor told her she was pregnant. She burst out of the room and ran down the corridor screaming. An older doctor stopped her and asked what the problem was. After listening to her story, he calmed her down and sat her in another room. Then the doctor marched down the hallway to the first doctor's room. "What wrong with you?" he demanded. "This woman is 80 years old. She has 2 grown children and several grandchildren. And you told her she was pregnant?" He knew doctor continued to write on his clipboard, and without looking up said, "Does she still have the hiccups?" Joke number 15. One day, a woman walks into a dentist's office and asks how much it will cost to extract wisdom teeth. $80, the dentist says. "That's a ridiculous amount," the woman says. "Isn't there a cheaper way?" "Well," the dentist says, "if you don't use an anesthetic, I can knock the price down to $60. "That's still too expensive," replies the woman. "Okay," says the dentist. "If I save on anesthesia and simply rip the teeth out with a pair of pliers, I can knock the price down to $20. "Nope," moans the woman. "It's still too much." "Well," says the dentist, scratching his head, "if I let one of my students do it, I suppose I can knock the price down to $10. "Marvelous," says the woman. "May I book my mother-in-law for next Tuesday, please?" Joke number 16. A man went to the hospital to visit his mother-in-law, who was in serious condition. On the way back, the wife, very worried, asks, "So, honey, how's my mom doing?" He replies, "She looks great. She is in good health. She will still live for many years. Next week, she will be released from the hospital and will come and live with us forever." "Wow, that's amazing," says the surprised wife. "But this is very strange, dear. Yesterday, she seemed to be on her deathbed. The doctors said she should have a few days to live." "Well, I don't know how she was yesterday," he replied. "But today, when I arrived at the hospital, the doctor told me that we should prepare for the worst." Joke number 17. 3 new corpses were delivered to the morgue one day, each with a great big smile on his face. The mortification examines each of them and says who they are and their cause of death. First body. Frenchman, aged 60. Died making love to his mistress, hence the smile on his face. Second body. Irishman, aged 30. Won €1,000 in the lottery. Spent it all on whiskey and died of alcohol poisoning, hence the smile on his face. The inspector then asks, "What about the third body?" The mortician says, "This is perhaps the most unlikely of all. Billy, a farm boy from Oklahoma, aged 25, struck by lightning." Why is he smiling then? He thought he was getting his picture taken. Joke number 18. I've heard some people are really going crazy from isolation. I'm glad I'm not one of those. I've just been talking about this with the microwave and toaster while drinking coffee, and all of us agreed that things are getting bad. I didn't mention anything to the washing machine, as she puts a different spin on everything. Certainly not to the fridge, as he is acting cold and distant. The sink just said everything is going down the drain. In the end, the iron calmed me down, as she said everything will be fine. The situation isn't that pressing. The vacuum was very unsympathetic, told me to just suck it up, but the fan was more optimistic and felt it would all soon blow over. The toilet looked a bit flushed when I asked its opinion, and it didn't say anything, but the doorknob told me to get a grip. The front door said I was unhinged, and then the curtains told me to pull myself together. Joke number 19. 1. Take it easy, Doc. You're boldly going where no man has gone before. 2. Find Amelia Earhart yet? 3. Can you hear me now? 4. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? 5. You know, in Turkey, we're now legally married. 6. Any sign of the trapped miners, Chief? 7. You put your left hand in, you take your left hand out. 8. Hey, now I know how a Muppet feels. 9. If your hand doesn't fit, you must quit. 10. Hey, Doc, let me know if you find my dignity. 11. You used to be an executive at Enron, didn't you? 12. God, now I know why I'm not gay. And the best one of all, 13. Could you write a note for my wife saying that my head is not up there? Joke number 20. And a little old lady has an appointment with a proctologist. The proctologist does the exam and then discusses the results with her. He ends by saying, "Do you have any questions for me, Mrs. Smith?" The little old lady looks at him haughtily and says, "Yes, does your mother know what you do for a living?" Joke number 21. 3 guys are talking in a bar one day. They start talking about how their cars reflect their careers. The first guy says, I'm a pimp and so I drive a cheap Escort. The second guy says, I'm a herpetologist and so I drive a Dodge Viper. The third guy says, I'm a proctologist and I drive a brown probe. Joke number 22. These two guys are sat in their hospital beds having a little chat. The first guy asks the second, what are you in for? Camera down the throat. The second guy replies, oh, endoscopy? The first guy asks. The second guy says, yeah, checking for stomach cancer. How about you? Camera up the butt, the first guy says. Oh, colonoscopy? Checking for bowel cancer? Asks the second guy. The first guy says, no, my neighbor was sunbathing and my wife caught me taking a photo. Joke number 23. For years, Frank's knees or elbows would start to ache at 8:50 a.m. and 8:50 p.m. At first, he thought nothing of it. He was getting older and he figured it was all part of aging. After about 5 years, Frank got concerned and started seeing doctor after doctor, trying to figure out what was causing it. Desperate, he started looking to alternative medicine. No help. He started seeing doctors running pill mills. No help. The pain would come back twice a day, every day. At his wit's end, he goes and sees a doctor in a filthy clinic. This doctor had been suspended many times, sued and lost every lawsuit. But Frank was losing hope for diagnosis. Sitting on an exam table in a thin paper exam gown, Frank tells the sleazy doctor, every day at 8:50, I'm in pain. The best doctors in the state cannot figure out what the cause is. The sleazy doctor sitting there in his stained lab coat and a filterless cigarette dangling from his mouth looks up and down at Frank and finally says, it's simple. You have 10 to 90s. Joke number 24. The old snake goes to see his doctor and says, I need something for my eyes. I can't see very well these days. The doctor fixes him up with a pair of glasses and tells him to return in 2 weeks. The snake comes back in 2 weeks and tells the doctor that he's very depressed. What's the problem? Asks the doctor. Didn't the glasses help you? The glasses are fine, Doc, answers the snake dejectedly. Thing is, I just discovered I've been living with a garden hose the past 2 years. Joke number 25. A blonde woman came in for a routine physical at the doctor's office. There you go, said the nurse as she handed her a urine cup. The bathroom is over there on your left. The doctor will see you in a few minutes. A few minutes later, the lady came out of the bathroom. She hands an empty container back to the nurse. With a relieved look on her face, she says, thank you, but they had a toilet in there, so I didn't need this after all. Joke number 26. It was early morning, and an old man in his 80s got up and was putting on his coat. His wife said, where are you going? He said, I'm going to the doctor. And she said, why are you sick? No, he said, I'm going to get me some of those new Viagra pills. So his wife got up out of her rocker and was putting on her sweater, and he said, where are you going? She said, I'm going to the doctor too. Why? She said, if you're going to start using that rusty old thing again, then I'm going to get a tetanus shot. Joke number 27. A man returns from a foreign holiday and is feeling very ill. He goes to see his doctor and is immediately rushed to the hospital to undergo tests. The man wakes up after the tests in a private room at the hospital and the phone by his bed rings. This is your doctor. We've had the results back from your tests, and we've found you have an extremely nasty STD called gash. It's a combination of gonorrhea, AIDS, syphilis, and herpes. Oh my gosh, cried the man. What are you going to do, doctor? Well, we're going to put you on a diet of pizzas, pancakes, and pita bread. Will that cure me? Asked the man. Well, no, the doctor replied, but it's the only food we can get under the door. Joke number 28. A woman went to her doctor's clinic. She was seen by one of the doctors, but after about 4 minutes in the examination room, she burst out screaming and ran down the hall. One of the younger doctors stopped her and asked what the problem was, and she explained. She had her sit down and relax in another room. The younger doctor marched back to the first and demanded, What's the matter with you? Mrs. Terry is 63 years old. She has 4 grown children and 7 grandchildren, and you told her she was pregnant. The older doctor smiled as he continued to write on his clipboard. Cured her hiccups, though, didn't it? Joke number 29. Two attorneys boarded a flight out of Seattle. One sat in the window seat, the other sat in the middle seat. Just before takeoff, a physician got on and took the aisle seat next to the two attorneys. The physician kicked off his shoes, wiggled his toes, and was settling in when the attorney in the window seat said, "I think I'll get up and get a Coke." "No problem," said the physician. "I'll get it for you." While he was gone, one of the attorneys picked up the physician's shoe and spat in it. When he returned with the Coke, the other attorney said, "That looks good. I think I'll have one too." Again, the physician obligingly went to fetch it, and while he was gone, the other attorney picked up the other shoe and spat in it. The physician returned, and they all sat back and enjoyed the flight. As the plane was landing, the physician slipped his feet into his shoes and knew immediately what had happened. "How long must this go on?" he asked. "This fighting between our professions, this hatred, this animosity, this spitting in shoes and pissing in Cokes?" Joke number 30. A man is strolling past the mental hospital and suddenly remembers an important meeting. Unfortunately, his watch has stopped, and he cannot tell if he is late or not. Then he notices a patient similarly strolling about within the hospital fence. Calling out to the patient, the man says, "Pardon me, sir, but do you have the time?" The patient calls back, "One moment," and throws himself upon the ground, pulling out a short stick as he does. He pushes the stick into the ground and, pulling out a carpenter's level, assures himself that the stick is vertical. With a compass, the patient locates north, and with a steel ruler, measures the precise length of the shadow cast by the stick. Withdrawing a slide rule from his pocket, the patient calculates rapidly, then swiftly packs up all his tools and turns back to the pedestrian, saying, "It is now precisely 3:29 p.m., provided today is August 16th, in which I believe it is." The man can't help but be impressed by this demonstration and sets his watch accordingly. Before he leaves, he says to the patient, "That was really quite remarkable, but tell me, what do you do on a cloudy day or at night when the stick casts no shadow?" The patient shrugs and says, "I suppose I'd just look at my watch." Joke number 31. Hello and welcome to the Mental Health Hotline. If you are obsessive compulsive, press 1 repeatedly. If you are codependent, please ask someone to press 2 for you. If you have multiple personalities, press 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you are paranoid, we know who you are and what you want. Stay on the line so we can trace your call. If you are delusional, press 7, and your call will be transferred to the mothership. If you are schizophrenic, listen carefully, and a small voice will tell you which number to press. If you are manic depressive, it doesn't matter which number you press, no one will answer. If you are dyslexic, press 9, 69, 69, 69, 69, 69, 69, 69. If you have a nervous disorder, please fidget with the dash key until a representative comes on the line. If you have amnesia, press 8 and state your name, address, phone number, date of birth, social security number, and your mother's maiden name. If you have post-traumatic stress disorder, slowly and carefully press 000. If you have bipolar disorder, please leave a message after the beep, or before the beep, or after the beep. Please wait for the beep. If you have low self-esteem, please hang up. All our operators are too busy to talk to you. If you have short-term memory loss, press 9. 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 Joke number 32. And then 3 writers, Jack, Eddie, and Carl, who were attending a writing convention, booked a 3-bedroom suite on the 75th floor of a hotel. When they arrived back at the hotel from the convention, the receptionist told them, "I'm terribly sorry, but all the elevators are broken. In the meantime, you will have to take the stairs." Now, Jack was a writer of funny stories, Eddie was a writer of scary stories, and Carl was a writer of sad stories. The 3 of them agreed that, to make it less boring, Jack would tell the other 2 his funniest stories. While they climbed from floors 1 to 25, Eddie would tell his scariest stories from floors 26 to 50, and Carl would tell his saddest stories from floors 51 to 75. They started to climb the stairs, and Jack started to tell funny stories. By the time they reached the 25th floor, Eddie and Carl were laughing hysterically. Then Eddie started to tell scary stories. By the time they reached the 50th floor, Jack and Carl were hugging each other in fear. Then Carl started to tell sad stories. "I'll tell my saddest story of all first," he said, smiling nervously. "There once was a man named Carl who left the hotel room key in the car." Thanks for watching our jokes. If you enjoyed this video and want more laughs, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell icon to stay updated with our latest jokes. Join our community of joke lovers and never miss a punchline. See you in the next video.